Hi, this is Dr. Toni Alvarado. Welcome back to Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self Care for Women of Color. We are excited to start the month of June with a whole new series here. We have gone through the month of March, we've gone through the month of April and May, and I'm so delighted to be able to bring this podcast series to you. You know, when we started this podcast in the month of March, on March 2nd was when we launched this podcast. I had no idea at that time how important self-care would be to where we are right now in this global pandemic. I had it in my heart to do this podcast last year in 2019, and things led on the way, and I got distracted and actually started doing some other projects and did not get an opportunity or didn't take the opportunity to launch this podcast. But I came into 2020 realizing that I had to do it, and I had to do it this year. And little did I know when we started this journey, when we started recording this podcast, little did I know that we would be where we are right now. Now some 8 to 9, almost 10 weeks where we have been sheltered in, where we have been quarantined, and we are in the midst of a global pandemic. I know some states are opening up and some things are seemingly getting back to what we thought normal, but most of us have realized that it's going to be a minute before we get back to what we call that pre-COVID existence. And so I am delighted to be able to bring this podcast right in the middle of where we are right now, because I feel like it is so needed. This conversation is something we should have been having all along, and it's certainly something that's needed right now. Let's get into this conversation. Michele Patton Johnson is our guest for today, and she is a certified life coach, a certified image consultant, and the CEO of NR Image Coaching and Consulting. With a well-rounded education and work experience on her side, she takes her vast knowledge of life mixed with spiritually based foundations and delivers them to women uncut and on time. She has a passion for fashion and empowering and training women and girls with the tools they need to define and embrace who they are and who they are truly created to be. As a result, she is the visionary for the Empowered to See Me Girls Identity Summit, an empowerment conference for middle and high school girls and the mothers and caregivers who are raising them. It is her passion and mission to create a strategy for girls and women to live in the promises and purposes of God, combining the discipline of her 20-year military background. Yay, she is a servicewoman, and we thank you for your service to our country, Michele, and the powerful story of her her personal transformation. She equips her clients with the courage to dig deep and find their inner confidence and learn to love the way they live and look. As a result, they are able to walk the runway of life with a positive self-image and a customized style, equipped to take on a new job role or transition into a new stage in life or up-level their brand or simply to look fabulous for a special occasion. Michele has a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and a certified human behavior consultant. She loves speaking and listening to people and always has a word of encouragement to share. When Michele isn't shopping or coaching a client, she loves international travel, and she stimulates her mind through reading books. She not only likes to read, but she's also a writer and an author. She has co-authored 2 books, A Piece of Me, A Journey Toward Authenticity, and Behind the Rank, and adding the editing manager role in her work, Now Faith Is My Story. Michele is married to Nathan, and she has 2 adult children, Janae and Javon. Welcome, Michele. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Harmonize Your Life podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here and honored to be here on this platform, this very important platform, as you said, especially during this time, to have conversations about self care that needed to be ongoing and should have been started before now. So I thank God for you doing this and putting it on the airways where women can hear about self care techniques, and it's
Yeah.
on their mind.
Yeah.
You're putting it on their mind
I'm
over and
telling you,
over.
and with this technology now we can, I mean, we've been sheltered in for all these weeks and
Exactly.
quarantined and but yet I have you on Zoom and we're recording and the podcast, they'll be able to download the podcast, they'll be able to watch us on YouTube and just really, really take part in this such significant and needed
Yeah,
conversation, right?
definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, Michelle, you know that you're not only important to me because of what you do professionally, being a service woman, and I want to just say thank you for being
Thank you.
for your service to our country. Now, some 20
Thank
years
you.
you've been serving our country in the military, and so I appreciate that about you, and I love you for being that, for being a servicewoman. And when I
Yeah.
first met you, I was like, "You're so girly. She's such a girly girl. Michelle is such a girly girl. I mean, you would not believe that she would put on
I am.
fatigues and her
I'm a girly
army
girl.
boots, and I mean, but yet she has served in two branches of our United States military: the
Hmm.
Air Force
Air Force. Uh huh.
and the Army.
Army.
How
Yes.
many years did you do in the Air Force?
8 years in the Air Force, and I'll end up with 12 years and 13 days in the Army.
So you went from the Air Force and then re-enlisted into the Army.
Into the
And
Army.
your combined service is now 20 years, 20 plus
20
years.
years.
All right.
Yes.
Good, good.
Yes.
And you're about to retire.
I am. I am. In a couple of months, I will be retired from the Army, but
Okay.
on going on to do my next part of my journey. So,
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And I'm glad I want to hear a little bit about that next.
okay.
Okay. So Michelle, I asked you to come on the podcast because
Hmm.
um first of all, I'm just gonna let you all know that another reason that I love Michelle is not just because she's a service woman, not because she's such a diva and a fabulous coach, but Michelle is also a member of my local church, Grace Church International. And being a service woman, she has lived all over the world and all
Hmm.
over the country. And there are so many powerful women of God and men of God who've had the privilege of serving as her pastor as she is when she's stationed. What I love about Michelle,
Yeah.
whenever she's stationed somewhere, she finds a church to be a member
Yes.
of and to serve.
Hmm.
And so she has served in our local church, and right now she's in the Baltimore area. She serves on the base there as a
Hmm.
part of the chaplaincy work there. But we have so many men and women of God, Bishop David Copeland and Dr. Claudette Anderson Copeland, who was also on the podcast
Yes.
in the month of April, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they have served Dr. Bishop Julia McMillan, and so many others
Hmm.
have served. She has sat under great men and women of God, and certainly Bishop Alvarado and I are privileged to have pastored her and her family while they were in
Hmm.
Atlanta. Her mother, Elder Janice Hall, and her son Javon, and so they are forever a part of the GCI family. And
Oh
I
yeah.
believe Michelle is on her way back to Atlanta because I told her when she was leaving to go to Baltimore that we was just gonna loan her for a minute, but I just felt like this was home. So
I I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, Pastor Tony. Um, Definitely, we are on our way preparing to come back. Um,
good,
I thank God that we found a safe landing place for after retirement to come back to. So
good.
I'm excited about
I'm
that too.
excited too. Well, let's get into our talk about self care today. That's what we're here for. We're here to
Hmm.
talk about self care, and I want to talk specifically because you're an image consultant.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
want to share something with you that I think will kind of launch us into the conversation. So,
Okay.
a few weeks ago, I was on social media and I saw a meme And the meme said, "Women will pay to look good, but not feel good.
Mm,
Women will pay
mm,
to look good and not feel good." Okay.
mm.
And I kind of explored a little bit of that in a couple of my podcast episodes with Tada, Latasha Lewis from Tada's Fitness Center. We talked a little bit about that because, she's into, she's a fitness.
Okay.
She's a nurse. Number one, she's a nurse and registered nurse, and then Tada is also owns her own fitness um,
Fitness. Mhm.
center, and she's also a part of my self care board of directors. And so we talked a little bit about that, investing. And then my therapist was on with us, Felicia White English,
Mhm.
was on with us. And so to have her on, and we talked about investing in therapy and things of that nature. And sometimes I hear women say things like, I don't have the money for this, but we spend money on hair, we spend money on clothes, we spend money on
All that.
nails, makeup, God knows. And so when I saw that meme, women will pay to look good but not
Mhm.
feel good. It just prompted something in me as it relates to
Mm.
self care and how we
Yeah.
need to invest in not just how we look on the outside, but how we
Yes.
feel and what really matters internally for us. And so you coined a phrase that I want you to
Mhm.
unpack a little bit. Share a little bit of your story and what made you come to this conclusion. I heard you say this one time that you were a dressed up mess, a
Yes.
dressed up mess. So talk to us a little bit about what does that mean. What does that mean? Unpack that a little bit for us. That's
Well,
my coach.
Dr.
That's the
Tony.
coach in me. Unpack that.
Right.
Yeah.
Unpack that. Let me get my suitcase out and
Okay.
let's unpack this.
Yes, please.
So,
And I know
yes,
you
I
got
had
some fabulous stuff in that suitcase because you are a
to.
diva.
So yes, let's unpack this. I was a dressed up mess. That
Mm-hmm.
that was my title.
Okay.
So just over time, just as a little girl, I have always loved clothes, purses, shoes,
Mm-hmm.
anything to do
Mm-hmm.
with fashion. My paper dolls and my Barbie dolls that I played with, I was always changing their clothes and begging my grandmother and mom to buy me more clothes for them. And
Mm-hmm.
then just watching my grandmother and my mother because they love to dress. They
Mm-hmm.
love to, fashion. And that's where I got it from because that's what I saw and that's what I grew up with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so just over time, just looking at, dressing in my generation, it was really important to dress because it showed your class as far as
Okay.
even society.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so, and now when I look at my millennial children
Right.
and how
Oh
how
yeah.
relaxed they are and they're like mom, I could come as I am and
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
never have worn,
Yeah.
I know you have millennial
Yeah,
children
yes, I
also.
do. Yes, my millennials. Yes. We
Yes,
love
and
them.
so
We love
yes,
them.
we do,
But
we
and
do.
sometimes, and Ariel says, "Mom, things don't have to match." When because Ariel, when she was little, I had her in the nice little
Oh
dresses with the,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
with the little frills, with the ruffle
Yes, the
panties, the
socks,
ruffles, the socks with the ruffles around it, the tights, and she had the beads in her
barrettes
hair.
and beads.
Oh yeah, all of that stuff. The little
All of
and
it,
so, but
all
as
of
she
it.
started getting older, and she started dressing herself, I'm like, wait, what happened to
Right,
that little doll, that
right,
little girl
right.
that I dressed up? You
Yes,
know what
and
happened?
like
And then she would put stuff on, and I go, Ariel, that does not, because we're telling our age with paper dolls, and
right.
we
We
didn't
matchy matchy.
we matchy. And Ariel said, Mom, everything doesn't have to match. Everything does not have to match. And I'm like, what? When did that where where did that come from?
Who said that?
Who said that? What
Where'd you
rule?
get that from?
Right. So when we were growing up, we had church clothes.
Church
We
clothes,
had church clothes, we had play clothes.
play clothes.
You had,
Mm-hmm.
we had we had special event clothes. You know what I'm saying? Your dressy
Exactly.
stuff, and
Exactly.
you didn't play in your play clothes in your
You
church
did.
clothes, and you didn't go to
You
church in
did
your play
not.
clothes.
You did
You
not.
even had school clothes. This is what we wear to
Ex-
school.
exactly. And everybody knew you don't cross over. You don't cross any of those clothes over into the other. So dressing has been just a major part of my life, and then this plus having the just the passion for
Mhm.
fashion
Mhm.
that just over time as I've experienced life and just going on. I am part of the Matchy Matchy Club, and just
The matchy
like
matchy
every
club.
thing to be, look a certain way. And then being in the military wearing a uniform also, that everything is in place and
Okay.
certain things mean something as
Uh-huh.
far as when I walk in a room, you can my rank, where I've been, all of those things went into this whole psychology of getting dressed. And we all
Mhm.
have to get dressed. That's what I
Yeah,
say is
we do.
everybody has to get dressed,
Uh-huh.
and so, but what I came to find out is that I was getting dressed
Okay.
on the outside. And so that quote that you said, that I looked good on the outside, but I didn't feel good on the
Mm.
inside.
Mm.
I
Mm.
didn't,
Mm.
it was like I was getting dressed and maybe had on a beautiful outfit on the inside, on the
Mm.
outside,
Mm.
but on
Mm.
the inside, I had on a straight jacket.
Oh my God. Oh
On
my
the
God.
inside,
On the you're on
I
the outside,
I had on a beautiful
a beautiful
outfit.
dress, but on the inside, you had on a
I had
straight
on a
jacket.
straight
Girl,
jacket.
you have said something.
I had on
Wow.
a straight jacket. And
Wow.
and so I was on repeat of not feeling good. Looking good but not feeling good. So I was
Mm.
on, and
Mm.
everybody was saying, "Oh, girl, you look good." And so sometimes we can listen to that,
Mhm.
and it
Mhm.
deceives us into
Mhm.
thinking.
Oh. Oh, girl.
It deceives us
It
into
deceives
thinking.
and distinct. So those compliments can be like very deceptive.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Because we look good.
because we look good.
Mm-hmm.
Because we look good. And so um, we put up a facade. We put up with what we have on, but on the inside, we are struggling because we have that straight jacket on. So our emotions are confined,
Mm,
and
mm,
and we
mm,
can't
mm.
move forward. So I was on repeat
Wow.
of
Wow.
not being able to.
I always take just a few notes when my guests are on. So I'm going to I'm writing this one down. I looked good on the outside, but on the inside, I had on a
Beautiful.
straight
Had
jacket.
on a straight jacket.
Mm, mm, mm,
Had
mm.
on a straight
And
jacket.
my emotions. Wow.
were confined and constricted, and so it kept me from moving forward and really who I was from the
Wow.
inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. From
And
the
so what
inside out. Mm-hmm.
so what I presented was what I had on.
Oh.
But eventually what's on the inside, and
Mm-hmm.
this is pun intended, begins to wear on us.
Oh. Whew.
What's the When we don't feel good, on it begins to wear
Wear
on
on
us.
us.
Pun intended.
Yeah, I understand. I got you. I see
it
the
begins
imagery, girl. You working it. You working it. You know I'm
it
a preacher,
begins
so I know
so
how to work
I
those
started to
images.
get wore down
Yeah,
from what
yeah,
I was wearing
yeah,
on the inside.
yeah. Oh, you
Looking
are
good on the
working it.
outside, but wore down on the inside.
Okay, okay.
Wore down, wore out, wore
Wow.
just. And at that point I said, I don't feel good on the inside. So I need
Mm-hmm.
to take care of that. I need to take care of what is ailing me. What is I need to do
Mm-hmm.
some self-care.
Wow.
And so that is where I came to the point where I was like, I'm a dressed up mess.
Wow.
I am a dressed up mess.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
so um I had to go through a process. And so my self care journey is this process that I had to go through.
Mhm.
So I was still, it didn't change that I love to go shopping.
Mhm.
It didn't change that I love fashion. It didn't
Mhm.
change that we all still have to get dressed.
Right, right.
Um, but that it did take me to a point where I had to confront some things. I had to do a some confrontation. I had to look, I call it, I had to look at some things. I had to review some things. I
Mhm.
had to look again
Mhm.
because how I have been looking is listening to what people were saying,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
what I had decided,
Mhm.
what the image that I had created,
Okay.
this false image.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and so I had to challenge that because
Okay.
it wasn't working for me.
You know, it's been said. I heard many years ago, Bishop Lafayette Scales. You know, that's our spiritual father,
Yes,
and
yes.
you know, something he said that I repeat often, and it's actually some not just repeating it in terms of verbally saying it over and over, but I've had to do this. I've had to live this periodically with myself and with others. And
Mm-hmm.
he says, anything you're not willing to confront, you cannot
Mm.
change. Anything that you're not willing to confront, you cannot change. And so that whole when you say I had to confront some things,
Yes.
change
Yes.
does not happen until we confront ourselves. And that's the first
Yes.
place we start with
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, so say more about that. You had to confront yourself, and then what did
Mm-hmm.
you do
Mm-hmm.
next?
So after confronting myself, then because you know we can stop there because it can get hard right there.
Mhm.
It can
Mhm.
get hard to look at yourself and really see like and say I'm a mess. To say like I'm a dressed up mess. I look good. Um so the next part that I had to do is get that clarity. And so I call this part of my journey, I
Okay.
call it the see yourself for yourself.
Okay. See yourself for yourself.
For
So
yourself.
the first C was confront, right?
Confront. Mm-hmm.
Confrontation, confront, and then clarity.
Clarity.
Okay.
Clarity.
And and you say see yourself
For
for
yourself.
yourself. Okay. Okay. And
So
what does
that's
that
the
mean?
self-care part about it is that you have to see yourself for yourself.
Oh, okay. Okay. Say more about that.
And and for me it was becoming very naked, um,
Mhm.
not concealing anything,
Mhm.
not covering up,
Mm.
not using any cover ups,
Mm.
any excuses.
Mhm.
It was a part of asking questions, investigating, asking the question, and then asking another question, and then
Mhm.
asking another question.
Mhm.
So, really investigating that and getting answers. And I put in this part too is that this is the place where we can't ask the wrong questions and get the right answers.
Mm.
So even the
Oh, I love that.
questions,
It's got to be the right questions.
it's got to be the right questions.
Ooh, Michelle, we
It's got to be the
cannot.
right.
Did you hear that? We cannot ask the
Ask the wrong
wrong
question
questions and get the right answers.
and get the right
Girl,
answer.
that's good. That's good.
Get,
Because sometimes we're asking questions, but we're not asking the right question.
we're not
And
asking the
then we're
right
wondering
question.
why we don't have the right answer because you haven't asked the right question.
Exactly.
Right, right, right.
Exactly.
So the right what would be an example of some right questions that you had to ask yourself?
So I remember talking to God in this session, in this clarity session I was having with myself. And I was saying, well, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And God said, well, you were there on all of you was the one that was there On
Okay.
every last one of those things that happened, you were showing up there. You, so I had to turn the mirror around and
Okay.
look at
Come on.
me and
Mm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what made me show up every time? Not them, but what made me show up there? What
So what
led
part
me
did
there?
do I play? Did I play in this
Right.
mess? In this
What
mess?
made me get up and walk over there, use my energy
Oh my
to
god.
get
At my
what made
energy, my time, my
time.
money. Yeah, all of that. All that.
So
Mm-hmm.
what is tied to my decision, my choice
Oh, Michele, that's so good.
that led me there?
Wow. What role
So
did I play?
beginning to ask the right, focus in
You
on
cannot, ah, you cannot, I'm gonna say that again. You cannot ask the, what was it?
wrong
The wrong
questions,
question and get the right
the
answer.
right answer. Mm-hmm.
Girl,
Mm-hmm.
now let me tell you, like I tell, when we preach, we preachers. And so when I say that the first time, I'm gonna give you credit, like right now on this
Okay.
podcast. And then the second time I say it, I'm gonna be like, and a friend of mine always, say, I'm gonna be like, so Michele Johnson said, then I'll be like, and like a friend of mine always say, and then by the third time I say it, I'll be like I always say, because that's good.
You can use it.
That was good.
You can use it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It
I got it. I
it
got it.
it it is
And I
it
don't
is
mean
a
just getting it just to say it, but I got it. I hear what you're
got
saying.
it.
I hear
Yeah.
that on a very deep level.
And that is what shifted me
Mm-hmm.
when I began to ask the questions and then the right questions and get the right answers.
Ask the right questions to get the right answers. I
To
love
get the
that.
right answers. And
Woo.
so
Okay, go ahead. What was next? So confront clarity, and that
and
involved see yourself for yourself, asking the right question
mm-hmm,
to get the
mm-hmm.
right answer. Okay, I got it. Mm-hmm.
And so so once getting the right answers,
Mm-hmm.
you still getting dressed every day, still getting dressed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but um it's collaboration.
Okay.
And when
Collaboration.
you talked about it, my sister's keeper
Mm-hmm.
was one of my collaborations
Okay.
that changed my life
Okay.
because in my sister's keeper, I did confrontation
Mm-hmm.
and I did clarity again. So these are all repeatable. This is not a one time. I do these over and over.
I understand.
And so the collaboration is really allowing yourself to be seen,
Mm.
allowing yourself to be seen
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by others, trusting friends who can see, not blind friends. Okay,
That's not the
we got
blind leading the blind.
blind friends, not,
Mm-mm.
not
Mm-mm.
blind in the lane.
Okay.
We
Okay.
we need we need the friends that can see,
That can see. And that will be
that can
honest
see
about what they see. Yeah,
exactly
yeah. And
that.
and I thank you for sharing that because I never look I mean, that's a good imagery for MSK. Although I know what we do. We've been doing it now since
Mhm.
2004 with women, taking different women through the leadership and life coaching program. But I to and it's interesting though because in one of my words for my
Mhm.
life is this whole word the collaboration is one of my
Mhm.
words
Mhm.
for my life. And but I never saw the organization when you say MSK was a collaboration season or moment
Yes,
for
we
me.
collaborated.
Wow, wow. And it took a level of, and we talk about this in MSK, levels of authenticity. And it took
Yeah.
it took it took one of those levels of authenticity is being able to trust. And
Trust.
the
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
you were able to disrobe, for lack of a better term,
Right.
of with your sisters in my sister's keeper, so that we can
See you. Right.
see you
Yes.
and be honest about what we see, and then work toward healing those things, and moving our lives forward, moving from average to excellence is what we call it in
Yes.
MSK. So I never saw MSK as a collaborator, but I appreciate that imagery, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you for trusting MSK to
Yes.
be honest and let us see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so on my part, it was a conscious decision to allow myself to be seen, because it's easy or comfortable to cover up when we
Mm.
are just open and naked.
Mm.
And so it's just almost a normal reaction to cover
Wow.
ourselves. And
Wow.
so
Mm-hmm.
so I had to consciously say, I want to allow someone to see me. I want to be seen, so that they can tell me what they see.
Exactly. And you know what, Michelle, this is nothing new. I mean, when you think
Hmm.
about, if we go back to the Garden of Eden and what happened
Yeah.
with Adam and Eve, and when
Yes.
they were, the Bible says, before the fall, they were naked and unashamed. But the minute
Mm-hmm.
that sin entered in, then they started covering up.
Coming
They
up,
got fig
covering up.
leaves and started covering up. And so we've been covering up ever since.
Every
We've
sense.
been covering up ever since. And
Every
so
sense.
this idea of being naked and under shame, and this idea of transparency and allowing somebody to see us, trusting someone to
Yes.
see us, really see us,
Yes.
someone that to collaborate with us.
To collaborate with
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
to
Okay.
join together for the purpose to move forward.
Okay.
And so, and I was to the point, and I was in progress when I came to MSK, but it was just another level. So again, this is on repeat in my life. It's,
Mhm.
I do vision checks
Mhm.
every day, or at the point where it seems like I'm getting blurry, or
Mhm.
and I go to people who, my sister's keeper, or I listed some things like the trusted friend, and I put a note, the trusted friend that won't get familiar with seeing you the same way.
Michelle, girl, that's too much.
That
I love it. That won't get familiar. And why is that important?
because then they see you the same old way,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you either need to move from where you are,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
you
Or
are
you have moved.
have
Uh-huh.
moved,
Uh-huh.
but they so used to seeing you
Mhm.
the same old way
Yeah, yeah.
that they can't speak to it. They can't speak to what they see because they become familiar.
Girl, let me tell you something. You done preached a whole message right there. Right there. Right there.
Right
You
there.
just said a whole lot. Because sometimes when I often say, when we change, we're the first one to know that we've changed.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
everybody else around us have to catch up with that. Our family,
Yes.
the people that are close
Yeah.
to us, when we change, and people will say, well, you always, and you go, I don't do that anymore. Well, that's because people have become comfortable with you and they are
Yes.
familiar with who you used to be. But when you've
You.
changed, you need friends that will allow you to change and will
Yes.
see you and become comfortable with the new you and not want to
Yes.
keep you back where you were.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And also for me, and this is always evolving too,
Mm-hmm.
because the collaboration can end at the point where they become so familiar.
Mm.
And so just being aware that, you have your collaborators that you're, a season, it could be a season where
Okay.
we where okay, now I'm supposed to be seen by someone else.
I understand. Okay.
So when I moved to Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
it's MSK, and going through that process,
Mm-hmm.
and And so just allowing myself and knowing like, okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
who is supposed to be seeing me right now?
I
Who am
understand.
I supposed to
Mhm.
open up to and be vulnerable with?
Mhm.
Um and that comes from that repeated vision check.
Wow. Okay.
The repeated search me and know me, oh Lord. If
Mm.
there's anything
Mhm.
that's not like you, then
And
help
it's
me
got to
to
be repeated because we're
repeat it
constantly evolving, and things
constantly.
are life is steadily going on. And the truth of the matter is, like I always say about self-care, it's not a one-time thing. It is
It
a
is not
lifestyle.
less.
And this is
Yes,
something we have to work at every day.
every
Every
day.
day I have to get up
Every day.
every morning and work out. I have to
Yes.
pray every day, several
Yes.
times a day. You get what I'm saying? I have to see my therapist over and over. I had an appointment with my therapist just this week, and
Mm-hmm.
this past week, and um she said, "Well, you sound like you're really in a good place." And I said, "Yeah, I am, but I'm not gonna take that for granted. I'm gonna keep this relationship fresh because." You just never know. Life happens and things
Yes.
happen, and
Yes.
we need to process and things of that nature. So it's got to be on repeat. It's got to be on repeat.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So let me
Definitely.
see here. Let me see. You said confront, clarity,
Mm-hmm.
clarity, and collaboration. Are
Mm-hmm.
there any other C's or?
And my last one is celebrate.
Oh wow, I love that.
And in the celebration, it's actually I find that I'm a complimenter. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like to compliment. I like to tell people, just what I see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but I find that as far as self care,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps some people. That's like that
Yeah.
gives them that
Mm-hmm.
like to encourage and empower others. But giving our own selves a compliment
Mm.
before
Wow.
we leave the house, or if we have to leave the house, and
Yeah,
during this
yeah.
time then, but and throughout the day, having the Bible says to put on compassion. But
Mm-hmm.
do we put compassion on for us?
Oh,
When
yes.
we get we're putting on clothes, but there's things that we need to put on for us
Yeah.
as part of self-care, to have compassion
For
for our
myself.
own selves,
Yeah.
to compliment and say, girl, you did that.
And
You
instead of waiting on someone else to do it for
else
us.
to,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. If nobody claps for us, if nobody gives us a high five,
If
give our own
nobody likes
selves
my post,
a pause.
right, right.
Exactly,
Because we get upset
exactly,
about that kind of stuff.
exactly. If
Uh-huh.
I only get one like, and it's mine, then it's okay. And it's okay to celebrate who we are by even speaking
Wow.
to ourselves, and speaking over ourselves and complimenting.
Mm, mm,
We'll give a
mm.
compliment to, I believe, those who are complimenters. And I said that about me. I'll compliment somebody all day, but I won't compliment me.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Whew. Do you hear this?
So,
Did you hear what she just said? You need to celebrate you. Do you hear that? You need to celebrate you. I'm talking to my podcast audience and I'm looking at the video. So when those of that are watching us on YouTube and listening to us in
yes,
the car on this on Anchor
yes,
or Spotify or Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening
yes,
to this podcast, celebrate yourself. That's so important. That's a
celebrate.
part of self-care.
That is.
Celebrate. Yes.
And it just in little things, like,
Yes.
just
They're not
even just
exactly.
make, yeah, making it a routine to compliment
Yes.
yourself.
And listen, and you need to celebrate small victories
Things. Mm-hmm.
because they lead up to bigger accomplishments. You know what I'm saying? You're
Right.
not going to walk across a stage every week and get a degree. You're
Exactly.
not. You hear
Exactly.
that? You're not going to. You know, you're not going to write a book every week. You're not. You know,
Yes.
you're not going to do
Right.
anything major. Start a business or whatever every week. But you know what? Sometimes just Bishop says it all the time. Bishop Alvarado says it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just getting up in the morning and putting your feet on the floor after all that you have been through is worth celebrating.
Yes.
I'm
That right
serious.
there.
The fact that you
That right
made it
there.
through the day, that you made it
Yes.
through whatever you've been through, that what the enemy meant for evil, God turned for your good. That's worth celebrating.
That's celebration. That's
Yes,
celebration
yes.
time.
I'm getting excited. I'm about to preach.
Yes. Yes. It's celebration time. And so
Yeah.
um just remembering to, just celebrate it, like you said, the small things and
Hmm.
things that we think are just mundane, like
Yeah.
a given, just a given in life. And they're especially in this pandemic, in this
Yes.
shut
Yes.
in,
Ooh.
really saying the
Mm,
things that we
mm,
just
mm.
maybe take for granted,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
waking
Yes.
up and
Yes.
putting our feet on, I I have been celebrating
I'm telling
all
you,
the way through this.
celebrating. And you know, there are so many things in this pandemic that, while the saddest part of it, there's so many sad things
Yes.
about it. The
Yeah.
fact that,
Yes.
we people have lost lives, loved
Yes.
ones,
Yes.
the fact that we can't go into the hospital with our loved ones when we take them to the hospital.
Yes.
Those are
Yeah.
sad realities that we are living with right now. The reality that people have had to cancel major life events like graduations and weddings and things of that
Yes.
nature, and we've
Yes.
had to do, but yet there's still so much to celebrate.
So
The
much.
fact that we're alive, those of us
That's
that are make some people grieve, while that we've lost life, there's so many people who have recovered
covered.
from the
Yes.
coronavirus and
Yes.
other illnesses. Those are things worth celebrating. I was celebrating the fact
Ye-
that my mom came through cancer,
Yes.
and right
Yes.
when we got ready to shelter in, she just finished her last treatment, her
Treatment.
radiation treatment. And I was so
Yes.
grateful, Michelle. I barely left the hospital when my mom was there. And
Yes. I
so
remember.
this was just 6 months ago that she had
Ye-
surgery. And the fact that
Yes.
this wasn't going on
Right.
when her surgery, and I was thanking the Lord. God, thank you
Yes.
that I didn't have to leave my mother in the hospital while she was going through that. So
Yes.
that's worth celebrating, whatever it is. And it may not be that something as large as when I'm talking about my mom, but just the fact that you're here,
Yes.
celebrating the fact that you're with your family, that
Yes.
you're learning new dishes to cook because you're at home, you saving
Right.
money. You know what I'm saying?
That I'm even cooking. Something to celebrate.
Just celebrate. Just celebrate. Good. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
those four C's, Michelle, we're gonna wrap this up here in just a moment. I want to wrap up, but you gave us some good stuff to think about. You
Yeah.
said I was a
Every day.
dressed up mess,
Dressed up mess.
but what brought you through that was you confronted some things,
Yes.
you got
Mm-hmm.
some clarity,
Mm-hmm.
saw yourself for yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
collaborated and allowed others to see you, and then you celebrated yourself.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Listen, if you're listening to this podcast, I want you to do that. Whatever that, all of us have been a dressed up mess. We've been that from time to time in our lives. This is
Mm-hmm.
this story that Michelle is sharing about her journey, her life. It's not unique to Michelle because all of us can identify times and places in our lives where we've been a dressed up mess, where we covered up with hair and makeup and nails. And now we can't even go to the nail shop. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
we
Right.
covered up with handbags and clothes and shoes and
Mm-hmm.
cars and fancy vacations and things of that
Right.
nature. Now we can't even travel like we want to.
Exactly.
And now one of the blessings of this pandemic is it's giving us some time. It's giving us some time to confront some things, to get
Yes.
clarity on some things, to collaborate on some things, and to celebrate. to celebrate
Yes.
life as it is. And so, if you've been a dressed up mess, don't feel bad about yourself. Don't fall into guilt and condemnation. You can get
Mm-hmm.
up from that place. You can confront. You can get clarity. You can collaborate and you can celebrate. Thank you so much, Michele, for giving us
I
these
have
nuggets.
I have enjoyed being here and talking about this. This is like you said, self care is a lifestyle. It
It
is
is.
how we live. It's
It's how
how
we
we
live.
have to live. And so, in when I'm working with a client as an image coach or image consultant, that is one of the things that I look at is are you getting dressed for life?
Mm,
Are you getting dressed for your life? And that entails more than putting on an outfit,
mm,
than carrying a handbag, than having your hair done, than having your face beat, than having, the latest shoe.
mm-hmm.
It entails so much more. And so I just always want to help women to, before they change their clothes, to change their mind.
Oh,
And so
before you
I
change your clothes, change your mind.
change your mind.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Hmm.
How can we get in touch with you? How can our listeners get in? I know how to get in touch with you, but how can our listeners get in touch with you? How?
Well,
Tell
they
us where
can
you
go.
are on IG and
Oh,
on Facebook and Twitter.
okay. Uh, so for I is at in our image, one word in our Twitter is also in our, and then Facebook is Facebook. It's in our image coaching and consulting.
Say
And then
IG.
my name
Say
on my
IG one
personal
more time.
Facebook is Michele Patton Johnson.
Say that one more
The
time, Michele.
IG is
Mm-hmm.
in our image.
In our image. Mm-hmm.
In our image. Uh huh.
Uh huh.
And then Twitter is also in our image.
Mm-hmm.
And then Facebook is the Facebook page in our image coaching and consulting.
In our image, coaching and
Coaching and
consulting.
consulting.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then you also have a Facebook group.
I do. I do. I have a uh, Facebook group called the Royal Dressing
The
Room.
royal dressing room. I've been in the royal
Yes,
dressing room.
yes, yes. You coming back in there, and in the Royal Dressing Room. That is, it's the motto is to get dressed for life.
Mm-hmm.
And getting dressed again for me is not just on the outside, it's on the inside. So we talk about self-care in there. We talk about getting dressed for business and different tips that women and entrepreneurs can
Okay.
use to get dressed. And
Mm-hmm.
from the inside out is still
Okay.
basically about habits and what we can do to be better entrepreneurs. And then we also have our best day is Sunday, where we get dressed for God and we share, the word of God and encouragement and just show maybe what we wore to church that
Okay.
day.
Okay.
Just
Our
post some
church
pictures.
clothes.
Yes, our church clothes. And so, but it's a group of women who are ready to um, level up in how they get dressed for their life. And so
Okay.
you can find it on Facebook and you can
Okay.
join us.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Michele, this has been such a wonderful, warm conversation. I'm glad to see you on Zoom. I'm so glad
I
Zoom is allowing
know.
us to see each other
Oh,
face to face.
yes, yes, I know.
So thank you, thank you, thank you again for being my guest for kicking off our summer series. You're kicking off
Definitely,
our
most
summer
definitely.
series.
Again, it's my honor. I miss you. I miss conversations like this. So I just really appreciate being here and being able to share with your audience and talk about self-care. These conversations for self-care for women of color.
Thank you. All right. Well, that's it. We're going to wrap up right here. Thank you again, Michele. Listen, you can find her on at our image, right? Our
In our
image,
image.
in our
Hmm. In our
image, in
image.
our image on IG, in our image on Twitter,
Twitter.
and in our image consulting. right?
Coaching and consulting.
Coaching and consulting on Facebook, in our image, coaching and consulting on Facebook. You know that anybody that I bring on this show are women who are dynamic, women who are full of resources to help you with your life and to help you to live a harmonized life filled with strategies for self-care. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you next week. I am so delighted about bringing the Harmonize Your Life podcast to you. Would you do me a favor? If you are enjoying this podcast, would you email me at hello@drtonialvarado.com? I want to hear from you. I want your feedback. I want to know if there are any other topics that you are interested in as it relates to wellness, self-care, nutrition, or just overall bringing harmony into your life. Email me, contact me at hello@drtonialvarado.com.